One, two, one.
Hey everybody, Deborah King Live, delighted to be with you on this really warm Tuesday. Let's start singing This Little Light. The lyrics are right there for you.
This little light, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, all around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. I said, all around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, 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 let it shine. One more time. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So welcome to my garden, and just really glad to be with you today. Today I'm going to talk about really one of my favorite people, St. Francis. What an activist he was, what an early activist. So we'll get to that really soon, but first let's sing in the garden. Lois and I have kind of worked it up.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear calling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
That is so much fun. All right, so I want to tell you all about St. Francis. So let's go there now. want on the other side or on another plane. He's actually on another plane. And it's not that hard. And one of the ways to do it is to actually say his prayer, which was written a long time ago. I bet you are familiar with it. You know, it starts, "Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there is doubt, true faith in you." So again, let's say together, "Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair, let me bring hope. When there is darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, joy." O Master, grant that I may never seek so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. And so again, join with me and say, "Make me a channel of your peace," because it's in pardoning that we are pardoned. It's in giving to all that we receive. And thus in dying, we are born to eternal life. Beautiful, isn't it? So now let's talk about him. He's not just one of my favorite people, but the guy was an activist a long time ago and big on the environment. So he's the guy to connect to right now about our environmental crisis. He really is. If you're an animal lover like me and a nature lover like me, and you're as worried about the state of our environment and our globe as we all are, then this guy is for you. He's the patron saint not just of animals but of the environment. So let's think about his journey. He went from rich, spoiled kid to one of the most amazing people that's ever walked on this planet. Seriously, this is somebody to really focus on. He was born into a very wealthy family in the late 1800s, and his dad was a cloth merchant, which is not royalty, but his mother was from France. Dad was not from France, the mother was, and she was royal. And so he grows up in this very plush environment and doesn't experience at all what the rest of the world back then was experiencing. The rest of the world things were very rough, right? They didn't live very long, and life was tough. Doesn't this remind you of Buddha's early days? Remember, he grew up rich and didn't understand what the poor people were enduring, the other 99.99% of the world. So by the age of 13, Francis had a serious drinking problem. I really relate to this guy, okay, because so did I. And if there were drugs around, I'm sure he took them. I'm sure about that. And if you've had any addiction issues, like me, you'll resonate with him, okay? He was also very rebellious and dropped out of school at 13 and drank himself into a stupor every night. He was just a problem. And he got away with this kind of behavior because he was charming and his dad was rich. Now, as he got older, he became very skilled at archery and horseback riding and was good at it. And his father expected him to follow him into the textile business, which Francis didn't want to do at all. Instead, he dreamed of becoming a knight. He clearly wanted to achieve a hero worship status, right? So he kept honing his skills as an archer and a rider, and ironically, he becomes a major hero, but for totally different reasons. So a war breaks out between where he lives in Assisi and Perugia, and he leaps on that opportunity and runs right out and joins the cavalry. But in the first big battle, he gets captured, and instead of them killing him, they hold him for ransom because they know he's from a wealthy family. It must have been a big ransom because it took his dad a year to pull together the enormous sum required to get him out of prison. But that was when Francis turned lemons into lemonade, because that year in prison, he must have really worked on himself because he started having visions. And after he got out of prison, he buttonholed everybody and said, I can hear the voice of Christ. And he's told me to redeem the church. The church, of course, was very corrupt, like when wasn't it? Most of the time. What's new? So he gave up this profligate lifestyle he had, and he started to live just like the poor. Of course, everyone thought he'd had a nervous breakdown or just, gone completely off the chart. And they started to avoid him. Now, the defining incident for his life that finally got him separated from his father was the time he stole a bolt of cloth from his dad, as well as his dad's favorite horse. Wow. He was going to use the money to rebuild a fallen down church out in the woods. And when his dad discovered the theft, his father grabbed him and delivered him to the bishop to have him, give him a strong talking to. So the bishop said, Francis, you got to return your dad's money and horse. And Francis did, but at the same moment he stripped off all of his clothes. I love this story. Stood nude in front of the bishop and his dad and said, God is now the only father I'll ever recognize henceforth. What a moment, huh? And the bishop handed him a rough tunic to cover himself, and Francis headed out of town. He was attacked almost immediately by a bunch of thieves who beat him up badly. But he took it in stride. He was so elated that he'd finally been freed from the expectations of his dad. So now he could do what he wanted. Now, if you're one of those people, think about yourself for a moment, who had to fight your father, mother, or some other person to be who you want to be, you'll relate to Francis on this one, right? So after that incident, the Francis that we know got wholeheartedly on the road to his true destiny and his true self. So his radical embrace of poverty was not mainstream at the time, any more than it is today. The church itself was, as always, enormously rich. I shouldn't say always, but probably since the year 100. And so were the people at the helm, and this wealth did not sit well with Francis. He felt it diverged from the original ideals of Christ. So he went on a personal crusade to change this. He visited up to 5 villages a day. Picture him walking from village to village in this rough tunic, right? You see friars around; they're the followers of him. And his charisma and the purity of his message really drew thousands of adherents to him. That people were very attracted to him. So these are our very first Franciscan friars. They're very likable. They're not priests, by the way. Remember, they're friars. So he even preached to the animals. How cool is that? So here's your early activist and radical Christian over 1,000 years ago. What a man to emulate. Now, when he finally died in, 1226, I think, he was only 44 years old, and there were already predictions he'd be canonized as a saint. He'd lived outside a lot, which is rough on you, and lived in these fallen down churches that were, very cold. As his health deteriorated, he went back to Assisi for his last visit, and even knights were sent to accompany him because by now they're thinking his body is going to become valuable if he's the body of a saint. That's how things were in the 1100s. They thought the relic would bring them glory to their town. So he was canonized, as you probably are aware. And not too long ago, say 10 years ago, the current Pope of the Catholic Church honored him by taking his name. I think it's the first time that any Pope has taken the name Francis. I think, but correct me if I'm wrong on that, okay? Now, because of the visions he had and the actions he took, which were so counter to the thinking at the time, a lot of people thought he was just so certifiably insane. Others were able to see that he was maybe the most Christ-like person around, maybe the most Christ-like person they'd encountered ever. One of his most radical counterculture activities was taking care of lepers. He even kissed them. He said, they're Christ in disguise. I think that's a very brave thing to do. So again, early activist, and if you're obsessed as I am by something like prejudice or unfairness or the assault on our natural world that's going on right now, you will relate to this guy and his messaging. Now, another really important point about Francis is once he found his calling, he was obsessed with nature and animals and the environment. He was so attuned to the animal world. You can do this, I'm telling you. You can hear animals if you just drop in deep enough. I still remember the first time a horse ever spoke to me, my boy influence, and I only had him maybe 2 weeks. And I was on his back, and it was hotter than the devil. And he suddenly said to me, I'm riding along, and he suddenly says to me, "It's too hot and my feet hurt." I was really startled. I jumped off, ran around to the front of him, looked him in the eye, and he was standing there laughing, just having such a joke about it. What a sense of humor horses have. I mean, they really do. So back to Francis. You probably know that he has an annual feast day every year. It's coming up real soon, and it's customary in many communities to take your dog, your cat, your hamster, or your horse, or whatever animal you'd like to, down to the steps of the church and for a blessing. It's a lot of fun. I used to ride my horse down to the church steps and have the dogs all trail along behind me. It was just a very fun way to spend a day. And those friars would come out and bless you and your animals. So again, Francis totally wore himself out. He fasted and prayed and lived in really rough conditions. And that's why he died so young at 44. Now here's a really interesting point. He did get the stigmata, which is the marks of the wounds of the Christ from the cross. It's the holes in the palms and in the heart and in the feet. He's the very first human being to ever have it happen that we know of. Wow, what an achievement that is. So let's take a break here for a moment, sing a song, and then I'll tell you all about some modern day St. Francis type people that we can relate to right now, that are out there working right this moment to change the world. All right.
Happy to be singing this song for you today, everybody, because it's my state song. So anybody out there from Kansas joining us today, this is for our state. 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. Forgive me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the sky is not cloudy all day. A home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the sky is not cloudy all day. Here we go, everybody. Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the sky is not
back to more about St. Francis, right? So if you live in a rural area, like I have all my adult life pretty much, or a suburban area, remember back 5 or 10 years ago, you'd be driving in a country, and maybe at sunset or something, and your windshield would get smattered with bugs, right? Just completely overcome with bugs that collided with your windshield. Ask yourself, how long has it been since that happened to you? It may have been a long time. I can't remember the last time that happened to me, and I'm living in the country. So where'd all the insects go, you guys? Insects feed countless other creatures that, that fly, that swim, that crawl, that burrow in the ground, and we have fewer insects, which tells us a lot about why we have fewer species. So back when I was a kid, maybe you too, it seemed like every rhododendron leaf had a tree frog. Not anymore. And, as a child, I'd walk around, there'd be garter snakes and salamanders and pollywogs and bullfrogs and dragonflies. And bees were everywhere. Even here in Ojai, when I first came here 3 or 4 years ago, it seems to me there were a lot more bees than there are now. That's very disturbing. They say when we finally lose the bees that we're next. I'm sure you're aware of that. So this environmental crisis that wise people have been telling us about now for some 35 years, at least, I think. We have never done anything. We've said, oh yeah, that's terrible, and then we just keep, driving our gas guzzler and whatever else we do. It's certainly escalated till now we have events in our life that we remember before there was a hurricane all the time, and before in California there was a fire every, 3 months. I remember when that wasn't the case. So it's been 75 years now that environmentalists have been sounding the alarm, and politicians have been ignoring it, and catering to big money corporations. Let's think about when I first learned of it. I like you probably read Silent Spring when I did. That's Rachel Carson's book that came out in the early 60s. In fact, someone just told me this morning, Dina on my team told me this morning that today is the day, I don't know, 50 years or 75 years later, that she wrote her book. What a book it was. I couldn't believe it when I read it. I thought, this can't be true, that the world was going silent, right, due to our pesticides, pretty much. She documented the fact that man-made pesticides were killing the environment, and its publication was a heated moment. Lots of people said she was full of it. Fast forward to today, and of course she was 100% right. Let me tell you about a few latter-day St. Francis types that we can perhaps be inspired to help people like them, people who are really working to save the earth. One of the first would be Jane Goodall, Diane Fossey, who died not long ago, right? And Mary Galdicus, I think. Those are those women that went to the site and studied the chimpanzee and the gorilla and the orangutan in their natural habitats in Africa and Borneo. And they became the world's foremost authority on apes. So they documented each species' social network. Hopefully you've seen a lot of this on, the Animal Channel or something, Nature Channel. It's just so important that we're aware of other species on our planet and what we're doing to them, how we're continuing to invade and negatively affect the only places that they have to live. There's one gorilla called Coco, who was raised and taught sign language by a gal named Penny Patterson. And it became obvious that these species experience pleasure, pain, sadness, all the emotions, same emotions we do. I already knew that because I was living on a ranch and a farm, and I could hear the llamas and the horses and the pig and all these animals talking to me. But Coco had a pet kitten that died, and she knew sign language, and she signed to Penny, "My heart hurts." Wow, what a moment, huh? And then Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, that show, came to visit Coco, and she took off his shoes because she'd seen him do it on his TV show. I thought that was really cute. And they had this look between them that was just priceless. Now, another big favorite of mine is Greta Thunberg. I can't say enough positive things about Greta. I'm so impressed with her. I mean, she's just a girl, and she, does something like sail across the Atlantic, right, to speak at the United Nations to impress upon us the problems with jet fuel. And, she's good for her. She's tearful and angry, and she's accusing our world leaders of doing absolutely nothing, of half measures, or in the U.S.'s case, negative action. Our politicians have taken negative action. We got to do something about this. If you've never heard her speak, Google her and listen to her. She's got a little bit of autism, and you have to say, my God, here's somebody really making lemonade out of the lemons that she was delivered. Very impressive. She's just a child when she starts this. So this environmental crisis that we face right this moment, again, is the direct result of powers that be, people we've elected, looking the other way and trying to placate us with half measures, and it's not working. What whole industries are doing to our planet right now are unsustainable. They're lethal, not just to us, but to every creature that we share this planet with. Now, I'm sure, David, it's Attenborough. I'm sure you've seen some of his documentaries, hopefully, on television. You might look at his 2020 documentary. It's called Extinction, The Facts. Tells us this, pretty scary, tells us the world is in the midst of a sixth mass extinction. Sixth. That's six mass extinction. And that's where human poaching and illegal wildlife trade and overfishing have pushed 1 out of 8 million species to the edge of extinction. We're killing everybody. Now let's take a look at a couple other people that you may not know about. Those people I think you probably knew about. There's Hans Cosmos Ngogoteya. He's a Tanzanian conservationist who has lived in the Serengeti all his life and has just done amazing stuff. Huge passion for wildlife, very impressive. He didn't take it easy and become a ranger or a tour guide. He's working really hard to keep the wildlife from dying out. And then how about Julia Hill? I bet you know about her. In the late 90s, she's the one, they call her Butterfly. She's the one that lived in a tree, an 180-foot redwood tree, you remember, for over 700 days. Can you imagine? That's a long time to stay in a tree, to keep the loggers from cutting it down. The tree, she called the tree Luna. The tree was 1,500 years old. So good for her. She's so committed. She's still, 20 years later, out there killing herself for the environment. Really, she's written a number of books. Her interesting thing to me about her is her passion for the environment began right after a near-death experience she had in a car crash. You've heard me talk about near-death experiences and how they can throw you into an initiatory experience where your whole energy field expands and suddenly you're connected to all that is. I bet she got connected to the environment that way, just boom. Good for her. So she's been a devoted advocate ever since. So those are just a handful of environmentalists whose ethics and activities are just like St. Francis. Think about that. They're focused on all of God's creatures, not just themselves. So now that you're all fired up for activism, I want to really encourage you to take 10 minutes later today and drop a donation to the environmental cause that most inspires you. Pick a nonprofit and some group that really cares about global warming, something that really, a group that you think will actually make changes. All right, let's all do that later today. Okay, let's go sing another song.
Discouraged. my delight. Green sleeves was my heart of gold, and who but my lady green sleeves? Green sleeves was all my joy. Green sleeves was my delight. Green sleeves was my heart of gold, and who but my lady green sleeves? And who but my lady green sleeves?
Wasn't that amazing? I want to take a second and introduce the band because aren't they just so talented? So we have our Lois Mahalia, who holds the whole thing together and is just an incredible gift to my life and to everyone here. What a fun thing it is to work with Lois. And Dahlia just sang that beautiful song. You have such a beautiful voice, Dahlia. I'm so delighted that you're here. And she comes quite a ways to sing with us, so it's really a gift. And then over on the guys' side, we got our guy Jack right here on the keyboard, who is our music director. And you know, what talent. The guy can just play up a storm. Plus, he has a lovely voice. And then right next to him is J.B. White, who's just a mainstay here. You just heard him lead a song. I mean, it's got such a sweet sound, doesn't it? Isn't it? You can tell I just love vocals. And of course, he plays the bass guitar too. Everybody's just so gifted. I'm so fortunate to be part of this. And then behind our guy JB is Lee, who's I think trying to see that far right now. Lee's back there, and he can play just as well the violin as the electric guitar. And when he flips back and forth, I'm always enchanted because they're so different, you know. And then David, I think, is sitting next to him, our guy David Telegian, masterful virtuoso on the sax and the flute. It's just so much fun. I was rehearsing with him yesterday, and usually he's about 20 feet away from me, and he came over and stood next to me for a piece we were working on, and I'd never been that close to a flute before. I was like, oh my God, it pulled me completely away from what I was supposed to be doing, and I was hanging out with him and floating around with the flute. It was really a trip for me, just such a trip. And then, of course, our guy James, oh my God, always, never last, always first. James, what a talent. And he can play the drums and he can sing. In fact, he's leading our last song today. Wait till you hear it. So this has just been, it's almost been a year now. I have learned so much. This has been like the fast track with the band. It's like an immersion. I learn an awful lot. I really do. Okay, so it's red phone time, and if you call 888-DEB-SHOW or 888-332-7469, or if you're international, you can come to deborahking.com/DEB-SHOW and connect with me. Happy to help you out and answer questions and connect you to the big board in the sky, where all the information is. Was it 52 hours of labor or 54? 52. Hi, this is Deborah. How can I help you?
Hello,
Hi. Who am I speaking to?
this is Jill.
Hi, Jill. Where are you? What city and state?
I'm in San Rafael in the Bay Area.
Oh, I bet it's nice and cool there. It's a little warm here today in Ojai.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice.
Uh-huh. How can I help you, Jill?
You can help me. I took your suture class on shift and I loved it.
Wonderful.
So I'm on a very intense spiritual path, and
Uh-huh.
anxiety has been a problem for me in the past, but it's really gotten so much better. But last night I woke up at 3 and in anxiety just rolling through me. And that's happened occasionally, and I just let it roll, and I just am present with love, and it goes away. But I've had anxiety. It hasn't stopped. It's been going on all day, and I'm like, what is going on? It's like,
When did it start? When do you remember it starting?
what about when I woke up? You mean in my whole life?
In your
Or
life.
day?
In your life.
Oh, well, it started, I apparently buried my anxiety my whole life, and then it surfaced at an Adyashanti retreat about 15 years ago, big time. But it's really receded.
Did you say a silent retreat?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Adyashanti silent retreat, yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm not familiar with that, but it feels like that is not a good modality for you, but you've already figured that out, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. No.
Yeah, it was the not the silence so much as it you felt abandoned by you. It's like you're and you're recreating that occasionally at night. Doesn't feel like all the time. Is that correct?
Mm.
Is
I
that-
don't know if I feel abandoned by me or I feel abandoned by.
It's existential. It's by God. Mhm.
Yeah.
It's an existential fear that you have, and
Yeah.
and it was really intensified. It feels like by the whole pandemic experience.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I can feel it. And do you take anything for it?
No,
Uh-huh.
I haven't really had to.
Mm-hmm. If I had a live audience right now, I'd be asking people how many people had woke up in the middle of the night last night, because I thought there was something cosmic going on last night from midnight on. I did. I felt it really strongly.
Yeah.
I
that's
remember
right.
I got up and walked around. I wondered if there was maybe an earthquake coming or a meteor. Where is that meteor, by the way, that they're talking about?
Oh, they shot at the meteor last night.
Did they hit it?
They did hit it.
Oh,
yeah.
what time did that happen? Do you know?
I don't know.
Well, no,
But
it's a serious
I
question. Mhm.
I did kind of have the feeling maybe this isn't just mine. It just felt like, whoa, this seems like something I'm just picking up fear. I don't know.
You're not picking it up. You are in an existential crisis, and again, it's an abandonment issue, but bigger than a person. It's
Right.
It's like the universe. The universe has abandoned you, is the sense.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I would like for you to do a lot more group activity stuff. Are you in my soul family?
No.
Oh, let me tell you how easy it is to get in there, and I would really encourage you to, Jill.
Okay.
Well, here, one of the good fairies here that helps me out during the Facebook show can drop a link in on the messages there in the chat room. It's so simple to join
What is this?
Well, it's
What
a
is
group of like-minded people like yourself who would be very supportive and who you'd start to have a relationship with. I really recommend it. We get together a lot. It's a Facebook group. I'm there, and we really tremendous support. I think you need some like-minded spiritual friends, is what I think is mainly wrong. And all of us got way too isolated during the pandemic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Jill, do you live alone?
No, I'm with my husband. He's not on this path, but I do have two, awake spiritual teachers that really, really help me a lot.
Good.
And, but my friends are not on the same path that I'm on. My friends around me. Yeah. So
Yeah, you need that though. I'm sensing that's what's missing. Is you need people that you feel are like just like you and have the same goals and aspirations and challenges. I think you'd be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'd love that for you. You're meditating, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm doing the sutras twice a day.
Are you getting outside very much?
Causing this?
No, not at all. But are you getting outside enough?
I walk every day. Yeah.
You do, but with a friend or by yourself?
No, by myself.
Oh, I'd love for you to be with a friend. Do you have a dog?
No.
Because that would be a friend you could walk with, or a friend. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see you walking with a friend and talking about things that matter to you. It'd be very healing.
Okay.
It'd be very, very healing. And come join my soul family. Somebody will give you a link to it. It's real simple to join.
Okay.
All right. I'm glad you called.
All right. Thank you.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
I'm so glad Jill called because so many of us are experiencing that because of COVID. I mean, even if you didn't feel abandoned or existentially screwed up before the pandemic, we all kind of got a big hit of it, right? It's very unnatural experience to be so deprived of community and connection. We just had a retreat here in Ojai for my soul family, by the way, speaking of my soul family, and it's the first time I'd gotten together with people in 2.5 years. I can't tell you how great it made me feel. I felt finally like I had a family and like they're there and I had connection, and I couldn't wait to hug them all. What a great change that was. And we're going to get together again. Let me just talk about that for a minute. I have a year-long program called Life Force Energy Healing, Roman numeral 4. It's called Level 4, my master's in training program. I have one spot left, by the way, and it just started here this week. We're just getting cooking in it. It's a year-long program, and in the old days, we got together 3 times a year, personally, met with each other, as well as streamed it to, I have a lot of European and Asian students who can't come. So we streamed to them. And then, of course, the whole thing shut down over the pandemic, and we had to go to Zoom. Ugh. That got really old after 2 years, let me tell you. So then we saw each other. A lot of us were there in Ojai over the first week of September, and now we're going to get together. That Level 4 group is going to meet me in Malibu the first, or I think it's the second week of December. And we're all so excited. We can't wait to get together again. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's not too late if you want to sign up. You go to, I think it's deborahking.com/master, as I recall. And at the end here of the show, we'll put the phone number up for you where you can call or text for info. But it's life-changing. It is the most, if you want to get over an existential crisis, it's the place to come. It really is. I figured I was making somebody wait there. Hi, this is Deborah. How can I help you?
Hi, this is Wendy.
Hi, Wendy. Hi.
I'm on speaker. Is that okay?
That's fine. I can hear you. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Great.
I
Wendy, where are you?
I am about an hour from Portland. I'm in White Salmon, Washington,
Okay.
and I'm visiting my sister Kim, and we both have been to your courses.
Oh, nice.
I'm helping her with our mother
Oh.
who broke her hip a few weeks ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry. How old is your mother?
She'll be 92 in a week or two.
Mm.
And the thing is, Kim's been taking care of her for 3 years, and she's really at her wit, her nerves. And
She's burned out. Yeah.
Yeah, she has
Yeah.
severe dementia, and I took care of her myself over the weekend, and I'm exhausted.
You
And
feel
don't know what
exhausted.
to do. And a couple of weeks ago, you said spend less time with your family, and I've been thinking about that, but I just felt like this was an emergency.
I said that to you. Is that correct? I said that to you personally?
You said it on the live show. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah. Prescient, huh? Prescient remark.
We have investigated other options, but we need to know, if there's something we're not seeing that we could be doing to get help.
I think that you and your sister both need to, as soon as possible, find somewhere else for your mother to stay, not with you.
Yeah.
That's too much for both of you, I can tell. I mean, and you can tell, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you're not doing your mother a disservice. Your mother, dementia or no dementia, does not want you to do yourself in here. She would much rather have other caregivers, and you've done your part, you girls. You've done your part. Both of you. You've done everything. It's time to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing this with my mother. I remember how hard it was, and my mother was 90. It was difficult. So let go of that. You have no reason to feel guilty. I'm picking up a lot of guilt here. You have no reason at all to feel guilty. None. You're not doing anything wrong. You've made it to the finish line. Time now to go institution shopping and find a good place for her.
Okay, that's what
Yeah.
we were thinking even a month ago before she broke her hip.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that hip breaking is the message for you that it's time to change things up. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, you're not doing anything wrong. I want to assure you, you're doing what's right. Remember, you have to take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and now you're helping your sister, helping her move past this.
Yeah, we've been meditating together. It helps.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm glad you called so that you could get reassured that this is the right thing to do.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah. All right. You take
We
care.
love you. We love you very much.
I love you too, and you really let me know. How it goes. Keep me posted.
Yeah, we're in your group, your soul
Oh,
group.
sweet. All right. Well, I'll see you there.
Okay.
All
see you
right.
there.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's a hard thing to do. I remember doing it with my mother. It is difficult. I have time for one more call. Hi, this is Deborah. How can I help you?
Oh, I'm on. Hello.
Hello.
My name's Cardell.
I'm sorry. What's
I'm from
your first name again?
Cardell.
Cardell. Hi, Cardell.
Hi. I'm the Qigong practitioner that previously called in.
Uh-huh.
I want to know a lot of things, but the two things that are on my spirit the heaviest right now is, am I actually making a recovery? And if so, can you tell me how much longer I have to keep this up before I'm recovered?
What are you recovering from, Cardell?
End-stage renal disease.
And how long have you had it?
Since birth, minus the 8 years where I had a transplant and had enough happen to me to fill a medical journal, just about.
Did the transplant, did it not, I don't feel one now, did you not keep it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
They left the natives, though.
Uh-huh. Are you a candidate for another transplant?
My doctors are always suggesting it, sure.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd
But
be,
I'm hesitant.
why are you hesitant?
I'm hesitant to do that because I've had a transplant once before.
Didn't go well.
And in those days, yeah, the hospital was my second home. I think I spent more time in the hospital than I did out in the real world.
Right. But Cardell, I think that it may be the next step.
Hello?
I think it might be the next step, Cardell.
All right, transplant then.
Yeah. No, think positive. Let's think of all the good things about it. There are big changes in the world of transplants since you last had one. Big changes. It's not even the same. It's not at all what you went through. There's no reason to think it won't be successful. You want to start with some real positive affirmations there.
All right.
Like I'm going to have, well, not I'm going to, that's in the future. Put it in the present tense. I am successfully been, received a transplant, and I'm in perfect health, and I have the best transplant ever. That kind of thought.
Okay.
And wait till Mercury's out of retrograde. Don't pick a Mercury retrograde period for it.
Ooh, how can I tell?
Just Google it. We're just coming out of one right now. Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. I'm glad you called, Cardell. Okay.
Thank you. It always
You take care.
Experience greater than your own.
Yeah. You take care. Bye-bye.
I'll do my best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, you guys, down to the end of the hour almost. Let's go sing our last song. You want to join in. You're going to love to sing this with us, okay? It's a real fun one.
Two, three, four.
He rocks in the treetop all the day long, hopping and a-bopping and singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Go rockin' Robin, 'cause we're really gonna rock tonight. Tweet, tweet. Every little swallow, every chickadee, every little bird on the tall oak tree, every wild owl, the big black crow, flapping their wings, singing go bird, go. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Say go rockin' Robin, 'cause we're really gonna rock tonight. Tweet, tweet, tweet. A pretty little raven at the bird dance stand taught them how to do the pop, and it was grand. They started going steady and I'm blessing my soul. I'll pop the buzzard and the Oreo. He rocks in the treetop all the day long, a hopping and a popping and a singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. I said go rockin' Robin, 'cause I'm really gonna rock tonight. Stand. Taught them how to do the bump and it was grand. They started going steady, but I'm blessing my soul. I'll pop the buzzard and the Oreo. He rocks in the treetop all the day long, a hopping and a popping and singing a song. All the little Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. I said go rockin' Robin, 'cause you're really gonna rock tonight. Here we go, y'all.
Thank you very
Great
much.
being with you guys. Hope you had as much fun as we did. 2 weeks from today, be sure to come back. Tuesday, 2 o'clock Pacific, and that would be Tuesday, October 11th. And again, they'll throw up the contact info for you to check out my level 4. I got one spot left. I only take 20 people into my new program every year. So 800-790-5785 or deborahking.com/master. Thanks for coming. You take care.
1, 2, 3.
This little light, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the world,
I said,
I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine, 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 let it shine.
You got to let it shine.